The sound of heels clicking against hardwood woke me from my half-sleep on the couch. Through the darkness of our suburban living room, I watched Ember adjust her dress in the hallway mirror. The black one, she claimed, made her look professional. At 11:30 on a Tuesday night. "Going somewhere?" I asked, not moving from my position. She jumped, spinning around with that guilty look I'd grown to recognize. "Marlow, you scared me. I have to run to the office. Emergency with the Henderson account." "Dressed like that for spreadsheets?" Her laugh came out forced, brittle. "It's a video call with Tokyo. I need to look presentable." I sat up slowly, studying my wife of 8 years. Ember Trasker had always been ambitious, climbing the corporate ladder at her marketing firm while I fixed computers and installed security systems. But lately, her ambition seemed to involve a lot of late-night emergencies. "If you walk out, you'll regret it," I said quietly. She paused at the door, hand on the knob. "Grow up, Marlow. Some of us have real careers." The door slammed behind her, rattling the picture frames on the wall. I listened to her car start up, then pulled out my phone and dialed Beck Derron. "Do you know what time it is?" Beck's voice was thick with sleep. "Wake up, buddy. I need eyes tonight." Beck had been my friend since high school, back when we were both nobodies from the wrong side of town. Now he ran a security consulting business, all legal and above board, but he still remembered how to bend rules when necessary. "The tracker's still active in her car?" he asked, suddenly alert. "Yeah, and the audio feed. 3 months ago, after our house got broken into, I'd installed cameras everywhere. Ember had insisted on the security upgrade, never suspecting I'd also placed a tiny device in her car during the installation. Perfectly legal. It was my car, too, registered in both our names. "Sending you the feed now," Beck said. "She's heading toward downtown." I watched the red dot on my phone screen move through the empty streets. Ember stopped at a parking lot behind Murphy's gym, the place where she'd been working out 3 nights a week. "Got visual," Beck said through my earpiece. "She's meeting someone." Through the grainy night vision feed, I watched my wife embrace a tall man with thick arms and a cocky swagger. Rellin, her personal trainer, the same guy who'd been giving her nutrition advice and specialized workout plans. Their conversation came through clearly on the audio feed. "Did he suspect anything?" Hayes asked, his hands already wandering. "Marlow's clueless. He thinks I'm working late." Ember's laugh made my stomach twist. He's so pathetic, sitting there with his computer gadgets, pretending he's important. "When are you going to leave him?" "Soon. My lawyer says I need more evidence of his anger issues first. The recordings I've been making should be enough." I felt something cold settle in my chest. Not anger. Something much worse. Calculation. "Keep recording," I told Beck. "I need everything." For the next hour, I watched and listened as my wife planned my destruction. She'd been setting me up for months, recording our arguments, documenting every time I raised my voice or showed frustration. Her goal wasn't just to leave, it was to take everything and paint me as an abusive husband. "She's heading home," Beck warned. I was back on the couch, apparently asleep, when Ember crept in at 2 a.m. She moved quietly through the house, checking to see if I'd noticed her absence. In the darkness, I smiled. She thought she was starring in her own soap opera. But if that's true, I was the director, and tomorrow's episode was about to get a rewrite. Before we dive deeper into this story, I have one small request. Please subscribe, drop a like, comment, and hit that hype button to boost this channel so more people can discover these incredible Reddit stories. I spent the morning editing footage while Ember showered and prepared for her real career. The audio was crystal clear, the video damning. Hayes talking about his wife Linda, who worked double shifts as a nurse while he played around. Ember discussing her strategy to frame me as unstable. By noon, I had a package ready. The first copy went to Ember's parents, Fina and Rowan Marin, along with a simple note. Ask your daughter where she spent last night. The Marins lived in a gated community across town, the kind of people who valued reputation above everything else. The second copy went to Linda Rellin at Mercy General Hospital. She deserved to know what her husband did while she saved lives. The third copy stayed with me. My phone rang at 3 p.m. Ember's voice was shaking. "Marlow, we need to talk. I'm at my parents' house." "I'll be right there." The Marin estate sat behind iron gates and manicured lawns, a monument to old money and cold hearts. I'd never felt welcome there, but today I walked in like I owned the place. Ember sat in the living room, tears streaming down her face. Her mother Fina stood by the window, arms crossed, while her father Rowan paced near the fireplace. The large television screen showed a frozen frame of Ember and Hayes in their parking lot embrace. "You recorded me," Ember whispered. "You recorded me first," I replied, settling into a leather chair. "Fair's fair." "This is blackmail," Rowan sputtered. "We could have you arrested." "For what? Recording conversations in my own car? Documenting my wife's adultery?" I shrugged. "Check with your lawyers, Rowan. Everything I did was perfectly legal." Ember tried to compose herself, switching to the manipulation tactics that had worked for years. "Marlow, please. We can work this out. I made a mistake, but—" "You made a choice," I interrupted. "Multiple choices. The lying, the cheating, the recording me to build a legal case. You walked out, Ember, literally and figuratively." Fina finally spoke, her voice ice cold. "What do you want?" "Nothing from you people. I just wanted you to see who your daughter really is." I stood up, straightening my jacket. "Oh, and Ember, you might want to check your phone. Hayes' wife got a copy too." The color drained from her face. "Linda doesn't know about us." "She does now." I walked toward the door, then paused. "By the way, I found your secret savings account. The one you've been hiding money in for your escape plan. Funny thing about joint accounts, I can access them too." Ember's scream followed me out to my car. The next morning brought chaos. Ember's phone buzzed constantly with calls from her office where someone had leaked the parking lot footage to the company group chat. Hayes had been fired from Murphy's gym after Linda showed the evidence to his boss. The local gossip network, led by our neighbor Mrs. Dalrymple, was working overtime. But Ember wasn't finished fighting. She showed up at my apartment, I'd moved out the day before, with our 15-year-old daughter Katie in tow. Katie looked uncomfortable, clutching her phone like a lifeline. "Tell him what you told me," Ember prompted. Katie wouldn't meet my eyes. "Dad, you've been really angry lately, yelling and stuff. It scared me." My heart sank. Ember had gotten to our daughter, coached her into providing ammunition for the abuse narrative, but I'd learned a few things about manipulation myself. "Katie, show me your bank account." "What?" I pulled out my phone, opening the banking app. "Your checking account. The one your mom opened for you last month." Katie's face went red. There it was. 3 deposits of $200 each, all from Ember's account. Payment for her testimony. "Mom said it was allowance," Katie mumbled. "For what chores? You haven't lived at home in 2 weeks." Ember grabbed Katie's arm. "We're leaving." "No," I said firmly. "Katie, you're coming with me. Your mother can explain to family court why she's bribing you to lie about me." The custody battle would come later. Right now, I had bigger plans. That evening, I drove to the Rusty Nail, a dive bar on the edge of town. Beck had texted me that Ember and Hayes were there, apparently trying to coordinate their stories. The place reeked of stale beer and broken dreams, perfect for what I had in mind. They sat in a corner booth, heads close together, speaking in urgent whispers. Hayes looked nervous, constantly checking his phone. Ember was in full manipulation mode, probably trying to convince him they could salvage the situation. I walked over and slid into the booth across from them. "Mind if I join you?" Hayes half stood, his gym-built muscles tensing. "Get lost, Trasker." "Sit down, Hayes. You're embarrassing yourself," I signaled the bartender. "3 beers. We're celebrating." "Celebrating what?" Ember hissed. "Your liberation. Both of you." I raised my bottle when the drinks arrived. "To Hayes Rellin, personal trainer extraordinaire, who just discovered that adultery has consequences." "You're insane," Hayes muttered, but he was sweating. "Am I? Let's see. You lost your job, your wife filed for divorce, and she's taking half your stuff. Your reputation in this town is finished. All for what?" I gestured at Ember. "A woman who was planning to frame her husband and take his money." Ember's mask slipped. "You don't know what you're talking about. I know you recorded our private conversations to build a fake abuse case. I know you emptied our joint accounts. I know you coached our daughter to lie about me." I took a long drink. "The question is, Hayes, did you know she was planning to throw you under the bus once the divorce went through?" Hayes looked confused. "What?" I pulled out my phone, playing an audio clip. Ember's voice filled the air. "Hayes is useful for now, but he's not long-term material. Once I get Marlow's money, I'll need someone more sophisticated." The recording was from 2 nights ago, captured during one of her phone calls with a friend. Hayes's face went white. "You lying witch!" he snarled, lunging across the table. I stepped aside, letting him crash into the booth. The entire bar turned to watch as Hayes flailed around, trying to regain his balance. Someone started filming with their phone. "Easy there, champ," I said, helping him up with exaggerated concern. "Maybe lay off the steroids." Hayes swung at me, missed, and stumbled backward into another patron. Within minutes, the whole scene was chaos. Hayes being escorted out by the bouncer, Ember screaming at me, and half the bar recording everything for social media. By morning, the video had gone viral locally. The comments were brutal, especially for Ember. Her carefully maintained image as a successful professional woman crumbled under the weight of public ridicule. But I wasn't done yet. Beck's hacking skills, honed during his misspent youth, proved invaluable. Within days, he'd accessed Ember's cloud storage through a password she'd foolishly reused from an old account. The treasure trove of evidence was staggering. Text messages planning her financial strategy, voice memos rehearsing her victim story, even a draft email to a divorce attorney outlining how she intended to destroy my reputation and take custody of Katie. "She's been planning this for almost a year," Beck said, scrolling through the files on his laptop. "Look at this. She researched how to document domestic abuse, even though you never touched her." The most damning evidence was a recorded conversation between Ember and Hayes discussing how to provoke me into an outburst they could use in court. They'd planned to push my buttons until I snapped, then claim I was dangerous. "Time for the final act," I told Beck. I sent Ember a text from a burner phone, pretending to be her boss. "Meet me at the old Riverside Industrial Park tonight. We need to discuss your situation privately." The abandoned complex sat on the edge of town, a relic from when manufacturing jobs kept this place alive. Perfect for privacy, with enough ambient light from the street to capture good video. Ember arrived first, nervous and checking her phone constantly. Hayes showed up 10 minutes later in his beat-up truck, the same one I'd keyed after the first night's revelation. I watched from the shadows as they argued. "This is all your fault," Ember snapped. "If you hadn't been so obvious." "My fault? You're the one who got us recorded. We need to stick to the story. Marlow is unstable, possibly dangerous. I have evidence." "What evidence? You mean the recordings you faked?" That's when I stepped into the light, holding my phone up to show I was recording. "Don't stop on my account. This is fascinating." Hayes tried to run, but I'd positioned my car to block the exit. Ember stood frozen, probably calculating her next move. "Surprised to see me? You shouldn't be. I sent the text." "You impersonated my boss," Ember said. "That's illegal." "Prove it. The phone's untraceable and I never claimed to be anyone specific." I smiled. Besides, compared to fraud, conspiracy, and perjury, A little impersonation seems minor. Hayes finally found his courage. You can't prove anything. I held up a USB drive. Everything's on here. Your texts, her recordings, the whole conspiracy. I've already sent copies to the police, family court, and your wife's divorce attorney. The fight went out of both of them. Hayes slumped against his truck while Ember stared at me with something approaching respect. What do you want? She asked quietly. Justice. You both thought you were so clever, manipulating everyone around you, but you forgot one thing. I'm smarter than you gave me credit for. I walked over to Hayes' truck and used my keys to scratch Cheater across the driver's side door. He didn't even try to stop me. That's for Linda, I said. She deserves better than you. Then I turned to Ember. And you deserve exactly what you're about to get. The final confrontation took place at the Marin estate, where I'd arranged a family meeting under the pretense of reconciliation. Ember's parents, desperate to contain the scandal, had agreed to host what they thought would be mediation. I arrived early, setting up my equipment with Beck's help. Hidden cameras in every corner, audio feeds connected to the house's entertainment system. The Marins had no idea their elegant living room had become a broadcast studio. Ember came with Hayes, both looking defeated but still clinging to hope that they could spin the situation. Katie was there too, finally understanding how her mother had used her. The girl sat quietly in the corner, watching everything with teenage cynicism. Thank you all for coming, I began, standing in front of the massive television screen. I thought it was time we all heard the truth. Marlow, please, Ember started, but I held up a hand. Your turn to listen. I pressed play on the remote. The screen filled with the parking lot footage, crystal clear and devastating. Ember's face went pale as her own voice filled the room, discussing her plans to destroy me. This is private, Rowan protested. You can't. Actually, I can. Everything here was recorded legally, in public places, or with consent. I advanced to the next clip. Here's where it gets interesting. The audio of Ember coaching Katie to lie about me played through the surround sound system. Fina gasped, staring at her daughter with horror. Katie buried her face in her hands. And here, I continued, is where Ember discusses her real feelings about all of you. The final recording was Ember's phone conversation with her friend, where she'd mocked her parents as uptight relics and called Katie a useful pawn. She'd laughed about how easy it was to manipulate everyone around her. The room erupted. Rowan started yelling at Ember while Fina demanded explanations. Hayes tried to leave, but I blocked his path. We're not finished, I said calmly. Hayes shoved me aside, or tried to. I sidestepped, and he crashed into an antique table, sending a crystal vase crashing to the floor. The sound was spectacular. That was my grandmother's, Fina whispered. Ember, desperate now, threw her wine glass at me. It missed, shattering against the wall and leaving a red stain on the expensive wallpaper. You're all pathetic, she screamed. You think you're so much better than me, but you're nothing. Nothing. The cameras captured every moment, every ugly truth spilling out. Hayes sobbing about his ruined marriage. Ember's parents turning their backs on her. Katie finally standing up to tell her mother exactly what she thought of the manipulation. And me, standing in the center of it all, watching the people who'd tried to destroy me tear each other apart instead. You walked out, Ember, I said quietly, my voice cutting through the chaos. Now you get to live with the consequences. Show's over. I gathered my equipment and headed for the door. Behind me, Ember collapsed into a chair, finally understanding that her game was finished. Her parents had already written her off. Hayes was a broken man, and Katie was coming home with me. The last thing I heard was Ember's voice, small and defeated. I should have listened, but it was too late for regrets. Some doors, once closed, don't open again.